Flanders is famous for racing. There's a museum to it in Brusselare where Dwars door Vlaanderen begun for its 79th edition. At the end of this edition, they've been making a museum to this race finish. The incredible was about to happen, and as Roeselare's mare got everybody underway, this was what awaited the peloton. 184 kilometres and a trip with a couple of laps in and around the Flemish Ardennes. Ronse passed on a couple of occasions before 2 trips to Nokere and back, and a finish, as always, in Waregem. Matteo Jorgensen had become the first American winner the year before. His strong Visma Lease bike team also included Wout van Aert. The breakaway, when it finally went away after over an hour of full gas racing from the start on a windy day, eventually consisted of several big names too. They included Taco van der Hoorn and Miguel Biel. The Danish champion was there as well, and with 89 kilometres to go, they were down to just 2. A gap of less than a minute for most of the existence of the 8 riders who'd got up the road. And then Visma Lease bike came to the party. 72 kilometres remain when, for the second time in the race already, they were there as a team at the front. Per Strandhageners, Edoardo Affini and the rest leading up to Berg ten Alta. They caused a huge split at the bottom of it, and it was like watching a team pursuit on the track. Affini leading Van Aert, Benoot and Jorgensen onto the cobbles. The breakaway, or what was left of it at the front, was being caught. The race was being split to smithereens behind. By the top of Berg ten Alta, this was the situation. Nielsen Paulus, who was already in the breakaway at the front and having bridged to the move by the 2 Danish stars, was there as well. Fabio van den Bossche was a survivor, but Visma Lease bike would continue to work hard. Affini had been left at the bottom of the climb. They had a top trio at the top end of the race. On to the Knokteberg for the second time. Mads Pedersen, winning in Gent-Wevelgem at the weekend for a 3rd time, decided that he had to make his own move to try and get to the front. He managed to reach to those who were being dropped behind. And as Wout van Aert, Tish Benoot and Matteo Jorgensen had put the pressure on at the front, they were left with just Nielsen Paulus. The question is, could anybody get there with them? Lawrence Pithy followed as well. Biniam Girmay was never far away on his 25th birthday. But all eyes were on Wout van Aert, having come down from altitude and suffered a lot of criticism from the Flemish press following a 15th place in Adelbeke on Friday. The gap was at 30 seconds as we went into the final 50 kilometres. Pedersen continued to try. He had a teammate Sturven in the group behind, but these groups attacking each other off the front weren't looking like getting across. But the opportunity was still there each and every time they hit the cobbles. On the Moria Borrestraat, they tried and closed a little bit, but with 41 kilometres to go, the gap was still above 40 seconds. A crash behind did for Paulet and for Pithy. And it was just after this point that it looked as though the gap was going to open up for good. Disappointing for certain riders looking to be stars this spring. Pedersen would make one more move, one more attack, but after he'd done that, the gap was growing to a minute. 22 kilometres remain when he'd go yet again. Final few sectors of cobbles to be taken on, and surely the 4 in front now had enough to take it home. But when would the game start? They go past the racecourse. No bunch gallop just yet. And as time went on, it became clearer and clearer that Visma Lease bike were confident in Wout van Aert's sprint. Nielsen Paulus will have been trying to channel his inner Ian Stannard, the man racing for Sky against 3 opponents from Quick-Step back in the day to win the Omloop at Nieuwsblad. But this was a lead-out. This was Visma Lease bike controlling things, ready to give their main man a shot of confidence in the arm ahead of the Ronde van Vlaanderen. First Jorgensen, then Benoot, then Van Aert, but then the unthinkable happened. Van Aert cramping up, not having the power, nowhere near enough the speed, and Nielsen Paulus with a moment to savour. The American winning the fastest ever Dwars de Vlaanderen. Shock, awe and surprise for just about everybody present. EF Education Easy Post's first win since January. And what a win it was. Paulus said afterwards it was the greatest of his career. 5th place did go to Pedersen in the end. But all the headlines were made with one rider beating 3, downing them without really being tested or attacked. He was strong in the sprint. Stronger than one of the fastest riders on the planet on his day. And Wout van Aert shaking his head as his teammates had their heads in hands. Paulus winning Dwars de Vlaanderen and 2 years running an American victor. Last year's winner just off the podium, his teammates stood disappointingly either side of the eventual winner. What a story, what a finish, a race that will be talked about for many moons to come, and certainly before this weekend's Tour of Flanders.